On the bustling station, Sirus-9, Chief Engineer Dara Albright was just finishing her shift. A quick glance at her console confirmed that all systems were in check. She stood up, grabbed her toolbox, and began her usual rounds. At that very moment, the station's emergency alerts blared, and the overhead intercom crackled to life. Code Zeta breach. Repeat. Code Zeta breach. Engineering team report to Containment Bay 14. Immediate response required. Dara paused. Zeta. That was the highest alert for containment breaches. She was barely a maintenance engineer. Yet here she was, on the front lines of what could be a disaster. She quickly made her way down the narrow halls, her boots echoing. As she turned the corner toward the bay, a team of Regalon guards rushed past her. The Regalons were known for their towering physiques and battle prowess. They looked at her, but didn't pause. Code Zeta breach, human, one of the guards said, barely acknowledging her presence. At the containment bay doors, the station's AI voice chimed. Containment breach confirmed. Predators on the loose. Immediate lockdown advised. Dara frowned. Predators? What kind of creatures could be so dangerous that they required this kind of security? Inside the containment bay, the scene was chaotic. In the shadows, she saw 3 juvenile Krannor, apex predators from the distant planet Krathis. They were notorious for their raw strength, speed, and their savage hunting instincts. These cubs, however, were different. Something about them felt odd. Their black scales reflected the harsh overhead lights like polished obsidian. Their 6 legs clicked rhythmically on the floor as they prowled, their 6 eyes scanning the room for prey. Dara, get out of here, barked one of the Regalons. These things are lethal. But Dara stood still, not in fear, but in confusion. She had seen creatures like this before, on Krathis's biomes during her research trip. But these cubs, they seemed different. They weren't hunting, not yet. They were playing, tossing debris around like children. A loud thud echoed from behind her. Garik, the chief security officer, appeared, panting. They've breached the secure vault. Lockdown protocol isn't working. Dara's eyes narrowed. They're not hunting Garik. They're bored. Bored? Garik looked at her, incredulous. They're not animals you just handle. They'll tear us apart. Dara stepped forward, slowly, carefully, trying to get a closer look. The cubs stopped. They were still observing her. Then, one of the cubs made a series of clicking sounds, like an invitation. Garik turned to her, panicked. What are you doing? Get back. Dara raised a hand. They're curious. We're not food. We're not a threat. Just stay calm. The cubs tilted their heads in sync. It was a chilling, yet mesmerizing sight. Dara's calmness seemed to disarm the creatures, if only for a moment. Meanwhile, at the station's command center, Fleet Commander Halrax was watching the live feed. His 4 eyes flicked from screen to screen, tracking the creature's movements. His voice echoed across the command room. This is impossible. Why isn't the human responding to the breach protocol? Halrax muttered under his breath. They're supposed to be lethal predators, not playthings. We need reinforcements. But just as the situation looked hopeless, Dara's voice came through the comms. Fleet Command, this is Dara Albright. The Krannor cubs are playing, not hunting. They're curious, and they're confused. We need to reset the environment for them. The silence on the other end was deafening. Did you just say, playing? Commander Halrax replied incredulously. Yes, they're not attacking. They're testing boundaries, like children. Dara, undeterred by the panicking officers around her, crouched down slowly to the cub's level. Okay, guys, she spoke calmly, her voice steady. I get it. You're bored. Let's play a game. One cub inched forward, its razor-sharp claws lightly tapping the floor. Another cub stared at her, its eyes wide, filled with something Dara could only interpret as curiosity. She reached into her toolbox and pulled out a small spherical object, a piece of debris she had found earlier. With a quick motion, she threw it toward the cubs. They froze, staring at the object as it bounced across the floor. One of them cautiously approached, nudging it with its snout. That's it. Come on, guys. Play with me. Dara's voice was soft but commanding. To everyone's disbelief, the cubs began batting at the object, chasing it as if it were a toy. I can't believe this, Garrick whispered, staring at the cubs. The situation was turning from one of life-threatening danger into something almost playful. As the cubs continued to play, something unexpected happened. The lead cub looked up at Dara, its expression softening. It padded toward her, lowering its head in a submissive gesture. The rest of the cubs followed suit. Dara blinked in shock as the cubs, once wild and untamable, sat down at her feet, looking up at her for approval. At that very moment, the station's diplomatic officer entered the bay, looking stunned. We've received a transmission from the Krothi's Empress herself. She's demanding an immediate update. Dara stood up, giving the cubs a final look. Tell her we've got things under control. The Krannor cubs just needed some structure. A stunned silence filled the room. The diplomatic officer couldn't believe his ears. The Krannor cubs, the most fearsome creatures in the galaxy, were being controlled by a human. Commander, get a team ready for damage control, and someone get me a behavioral specialist. But as the door shut behind the officer, Commander Halrax watched the live feed, a realization dawning upon him. Dara had done something no one, not even the most experienced predator specialists, had ever thought possible. As Dara walked away from the now calm cubs, the diplomatic officer watched her, a mix of awe and disbelief still in his eyes. You just changed everything, didn't you? He muttered, more to himself than to anyone else. Dara didn't look back, her hand brushing against the doorframe as she stepped into the corridor. She had already started her next task, ready to clean up the mess left behind. The ordinary work, the quiet hum of routine life, called to her again. But there was something different in the air now. Dara smiled, though no one saw it. Her communicator buzzed again. Another notification, another urgent message from Fleet Command. But this time, it wasn't a call for crisis management. It was a simple message, marked with one word: thank you. The rest of the message was irrelevant. It wasn't about praise. It was about recognition. Humanity's quiet, unexpected role in this vast universe. Her actions had ripple effects far beyond what anyone could have imagined. She had shown them another way. As Dara stood still for a moment, the weight of the message hit her. This wasn't just about handling a crisis. This was about shifting perspectives, about understanding that patience and empathy can accomplish the impossible. The universe had taught her that small actions, like the quiet patience of a janitor, can change the course of history. And sometimes, those who seem ordinary are the ones who carry the most extraordinary power. With a final glance over her shoulder at the now peaceful Krannor cubs, she continued on, her steps steady and unwavering. If we can change the way we understand one another, she thought, maybe we can change the way we live together. Maybe that's what the galaxy needs right now. Someone willing to see the quiet heroes, the ones who bring hope, not through force, but through understanding. And with that, the station resumed its rhythm. Life continued. But one thing was clear. Dara Albright had redefined what it meant to be a hero. Just like Dara, we all have the power to make a difference, no matter how small it may seem. Sometimes, the greatest heroes aren't those who wield weapons or command armies. They're the ones who take the time to listen, to care, and to change the world, one small act at a time. Remember, sometimes a little patience and understanding can change everything. Don't underestimate the power of your own quiet strength.